to just completely control you. He used money and power to control you. He used money and power to control you, Eric, and he used it absolutely to control your mom. And I mean, isn't that really after all? Isn't that what it was about, Tony? I mean, wasn't it about the amount of absolute control and the ruthlessness in terms of just completely, almost being like an automaton? He was focused on. I mean, it's like, do you think your father had any sense of what he even was doing in life? Or do you think that your father basically was so much on automatic pilot in terms of being focused on control and domination that did he not care? Or do you not know? What do you think? Eric, how about you saying something here? You haven't said a whole lot. What do you think?
I just don't like hearing it.
What does that mean?
I don't like hearing it.
You don't like hearing what?
I don't like hearing these things about my father.
Okay. What are you feeling?
Upset.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Sad what?
Well, I pushed them out of my mind. And my father and my mother were two people that I love, and I just don't like that. It doesn't matter what they were or what they actually were. Whether it's a fantasy or it wasn't. They were very apparent in my mind before this and led up to the fact where I had no choice. I would have taken any other choice. Because I look back on it and realizing when people are worth and telling how much regret it. I may not have had a choice at the time, but I regret it now. And I simply I like the image that I had from when I was 14 or so, where I had a mother and father that loved each other and loved me, and it was that kind of relationship. And I try to bring that back in my mind because it was like that, and I like that. And it's simple and deep, and I don't like hearing my father put in this sort of way.
It's too painful. Talk about it. Thank you. Try.
He was somebody that I loved, and almost had no choice to do what I did, and I hate myself for doing it. And I understand why it was done when I came rationalized it, because there was a love that I had for my mother, and how it was such a misconception of the family and no one else. And no one understood. And how having to listen to the fights and simply the yelling and the screaming always taking place downstairs, and finding blood on the bed and different things. I just tried to rationalize it. And I break down every once in a while because it's really difficult. I love my father, and I'll never love anyone like him. And it's more difficult because of my mother, because I realize what amazing tragedy of her life was compared to what it could have been because of my father. And I hate him for that. And I love him. And it was something that was beyond control. And
What was beyond control? Did you have to tell me?
eventually it had to happen. It was basically ruining my life and I guess lives. And it was putting another through torture. And it got to a point where he was amazing. He would do great things for me. And you know, I wouldn't understand why. I know that she loved me somehow, but he just
Couldn't ever tell you the story.
no.
I was there. I remember when your mom called me and told me that your dad was disinheriting you because he didn't like how you were behaving at the table. And he thought you weren't being respectful enough. But he couldn't tell you because he never talked about feelings and he wouldn't talk about feelings. And you know, I remember telling you that, and you didn't even look that surprised. I mean, that must have been what your dad was like to me.
Well, I'm sad because I look back on my life now with my parents, and I wish it would have been so much more different. I look back and I wish that my brother and I would have had an extremely close relationship, and I would tell her everything that happened over. I would tell her everything. And all my relationships with different people and everything. She wanted to know, and I was raised that I couldn't tell her. That she couldn't express to me, and I wish I had a closer relationship with my father. Dreams that I have. And
You couldn't go through the one.
no, I just was very good with it. From an early age, it's just, I guess, we're taught to go follow that. You don't
You just don't want.
have a close relationship.
You just don't talk about feelings and what's going on.
You keep it inside.
Did you ever try to tell your mom or talk to your mom about what your dad was doing?
No, I couldn't face that. I left that up to my brother. I couldn't face that. That actually I told my brother over the phone, and he, you know, I couldn't. I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to realize it. But I knew that if my mom had died, I would have to leave. I would have to leave. And it didn't matter because I always thought in my head that I could make all this money remember it wouldn't make a difference. And I didn't, leaving wouldn't be a problem. I would have to do it. And I couldn't live with them anymore, and yet I love them. And I guess I was taught to love him because he was your father. And because I wanted to love him. And that's why Bob cannot probably face the fact that my mother had to be killed. And it was the only way out. It was the only way out for her, and that's why he cannot even face it. And he knows that feeling about it, and he goes, if you would have to face that and understand that, it would kill you, because it's just so sad. And I don't know, in ways I'm pissed off that he was like it. In other ways, I'm glad that he being such a strong person, but I really can't say whether I would have wanted another kind of father. I just wish the relationship would have been. And I don't. I mean, I have all kinds of dreams about it. And
What kind of thing?
from a dream where I had was trying to convince two of my friends to shoot me. And they wouldn't do it no matter how hard I tried to convince them, so I took the gun that was in my hand and shot myself several times in the heart. And then I died. And there was a moment where it was just an immense pleasure. I was happy and there was no tension. on her mind, there was no stress, and everything was calm, and everything was great. And then I woke up in the morning and I was upset that I was alive because of the great feeling that I had when I was no longer alive.
What kind of feeling?
There was feeling there was no more pressure, and there was no more sadness to be had. And you no longer had to feel sad about your parents. And because it's just illness. And I guess one of the hard things about it is that everyone now, they don't know the truth, and they can't relate. And that's difficult.
You can't relate to any of the feelings you have.
Exactly.
And there's so much pain, and you know, it's so clear that both of you are relating to the, not so much to the pain that you had in being in the family, although there was a lot of pain there. You both knew you could escape that. You were about to go away to school while you already were away, but the pain of knowing that your mother was going to be left behind and victimized, and that she was so defensive and protective of your father that even while she was being totally destroyed by him, that she was blocking absolutely even your love for her, and you're trying to help her, especially you, Lyle, trying to talk with her, that you were blamed for it. Here you were loving her and trying to care for her, and instead you got blamed for it, and there was an absolute denial of what was happening, and yet you knew the pain she was in. You saw her totally deteriorating, and I mean, it's almost like your love for your mother was, and the pain with her getting just totally brutalized over all those years was like it was a lot worse than the pain you went through being with your dad. Or you thought you could deal with your dad more than your mother. Your mother couldn't deal with your dad. Your mother had no ability to deal with your dad.
By going to college, I mean, it didn't matter. Even if I was in college. I remember when I was in college, I wanted to major in theater. And my mom wanted me to major in theater, but couldn't tell me that because she was an actress and she was a great actress. And so she had this love for theater. And when she saw me at stage, when I said Beverly, she loved it, and she wanted me to major, but I couldn't even bring it up to my father. I did once, and it wasn't, well, he thought I was kidding. It wasn't even something that was going to be even brought up. And my mom certainly never bring it up. And so what I was doing, what I was taking, I wasn't even going to decide. It was my courses, when I had an hour or two to select my courses, I would already have the sheet and already have it worked out. My dad would have already worked out what I was going to take. And so, I mean, it wasn't, there was freedom in my life, kind of, but my life would be structured and I would have freedom outside of structure. Right? And I mean, in signs of pain, I mean, Lyle and I definitely had different kind of relationships as parents in different ways. We certainly dealt with it differently. Like I got scared with Lyle. I mean, I wasn't sure. Lyle and I really didn't talk about how each other was feeling that much after this all happened. And we talked about getting internet about our feelings. And he probably relates more to me because we weren't supposed to. My parents didn't care. And he told me that he was very depressed and so on. And I didn't know it because, we hadn't talked about it. He was showing his feelings are different from mine. He wasn't as open about it. And I got worried, what this depression did to Lyle, and could that mean he kill himself? And I cried about that one for a while.
And did you ever tell Lyle before? Is this the first time Lyle knows him?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't.
Why don't you look at him that you were really worried about it? Okay? Hey. No, come on, look at him. Tell your brother. Hey. No, don't be tough and strong. This is what you're trying to undo that happened.
I'm being tough and strong, I know.
No, but he needs to tell you.
No,
Well, let him do this. He needs to do this. And you know what? This is part of your way of undoing what happened in your family. Eric needs to express his pain his way, and he needs to tell you how much he loves you and how concerned he was for you. It's really important. I know you're stepping in to sort of save him, but you know what? The best way for him to really be able to save himself and for you to get closer contact is for you to be able to talk to what you couldn't talk to your family. Why don't you, Aaron, can you turn towards around and tell me what you feel? You can do it.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Come on. This is what it was all about. The reason this was all about, what this was all about, was you not having done this in vain, but for you really to get to the place where you can deal with your feelings and not be a prisoner of whatever happened in your family. So, yeah, there's a reason to. You love life?
Yeah, we express each other in different ways.
You know, but you love life?
Yes.
You told me that between the two of you, if one of you was going to die, you'd rather you die and the battle left. Did you say that? Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you feeling?
Maybe that it didn't work out effectively.
I agree that Eric and I need to. Our whole family works behind closed doors, just like politics, and that's one of the things. A lot for politics because it was all closed game, and we still play a game that. I wish I was very close to Eric, and we made all our decisions together. And when it came to advice, he came to me first. Just like
Remember how hurt you were when Eric told me what happened, and remember the hurt, the pain, that he didn't talk with you about it first, that you felt really violated. That was real painful for you. I remember that.
Yeah, the worst thing about it was that, there's so much, it could be something, it's just like the tragedy of the family. It could be another tragedy if we don't be very close, because, and tell each other things first and so on, and trust that we care. It's very hard to trust that you care. We've been taught to deal with it ourselves and then go a roundabout way and let up when it's necessary. If you feel it's really important for me to get this, he'll push that for me, but without me really knowing the real reason why he's pushing for me, that he loves me or whatever. And then we'll get real stubborn and hate each other about some little issues that I wish we wouldn't. I'll figure, he'll think, or I will figure my girlfriend more over an issue than I do himself. Or I'm very conscious of his take sides with somebody else over myself, and then I'll say, well, screw you. You don't care, and it's easy for that to happen, and that's something that would be great if it could be worked out about. We've sort of worked out some strange relationship where we can convey that, like you said, without having to say it face to face.
Why don't you say it face to face right here, though? Why do you feel towards that?
Because you've never been taught to.
Well, wait. Turn your chest towards each other.
Well, you've never been taught to. No.
Eric.
No. I feel like comfortable. I'd rather know.
Eric. Wait. Okay. What am I here for? Aren't we trying
For some reason, it seems like I can say it to almost anyone else except for my family.
Okay, but wait a minute. You're trying to learn how to handle that. You're trying to undo that. You've got one family.
I think it stems from the reluctance stems, and the mind stems from a pride issue.
Wait.
He's still afraid that I may not feel the same way, and pride will be hurt. That's the way we say it. Yeah, I love Eric very much.
Can you tell a little more to us? Oh, God. Come on, you can do this. I know you can.
We hate that hugging shit, by the way. We fucking hate that.
You know what? I don't care. I don't care who did it. Just because you said that. Come on. No. You know what? You can have trouble with it. All right. Come on. You have trouble with it. You do. You know what? Look, all the stuff that happened, if you want to reverse the fact that you couldn't be close, if you let me, okay, what I want to do, if you let me, okay, and you trust each other enough and you trust me enough, I don't want to have this be something where we're doing something that has to do with legally protecting you, because that's not what we're doing here. What we're really doing is trying to help you undo what happened and help you create what never got created, so that what happened for a reason, and that you now can create something between the two of you that was supposed to be there to begin with. Because you're what you have left. You're your family now. And, you don't want to be a victim anymore of what happened. And I know how much Eric loves you because you were not here. Is it okay if I tell him that? Is that right? He just nodded, said yes. He told me that if something happened, if anything happened and one of you had to die, he would much rather it be him than you. He would much rather that, if something happened to him, he doesn't even, Eric's got all kinds of problems with having anything to do with any money and anything as a result of all this. Feeling real guilty and badly about it. He's having all kinds of difficulties with it. And, he said to me over and over again how much he loves you and how much he would really do anything for you, and, including me. If the point of the identity, rather, it would be him. And I know that it's not easy for Eric to tell you that with words, but you know what? You're talking about you being real sad with your mom. But it would be just as sad if the two of you didn't get to the place where...
I feel like that almost has happened a couple times. It's obviously happened twice. Once where I was depressed and could never really convey it, and I was close to suicide and felt it would be the best way out and a nice way out. And wishing that somebody would be good enough to have me killed. And then there was a time, then Eric also going through a period where he never expressed to me that me saying that I was in Princeton, was going to stay in Princeton and go to school and not be part of the tennis tour would be emotionally devastating to himself. And his reaction is, okay, fine, if that's what you want to do it. I don't think it's fine. And that's it. And me actually being hurt by the fact that he didn't care enough to say that he wishes I was on the tour. And so we both walk away majorly depressed. That he doesn't care if I'm on a tour or not. He just makes the wrong decision intellectually. And Eric is not going to be on a tour with me. He doesn't care. And, that... And it can lead to suicide. And, just like, it led my mother. And I still think Mom's was a suicide. Because, I feel that in her letters to Eric and I, she gave me the permission. And the burden seemed to continually be handed to me. Eric handed me it to talk to Mom. Dad handled a lot of things to me. She had given me permission to please carry out her suicide. And that it was obvious that she had decided in her mind she wants to die. She can't do it. And she doesn't want to talk about it. And there's nothing that I can do to help her. There's nothing anyone else can do. And she very much doesn't want anyone else to know. Doesn't want me to go to her Uncle Brian, or if I look back, I wish I would have done. And just said, I feel like if I would have said to Uncle Brian, this is the situation, he would have done something. I feel that I have a lot of anger toward my relatives, my uncles, my aunts, my Uncle Carlos and Aunt Terry, who knew about what was happening to my mother and did nothing. I just think that they were cowards, that what Eric and I did took courage beyond belief, beyond strength. There was no way I was going to make a decision to kill my mother without Eric's consent. I didn't even want to influence him in that issue. I just let him sleep on it in a couple days. Because I'm in a very good position to influence Eric on a lot of things. Because he knows that I care and a whole number of issues, and I can talk eloquently and whatever. And but when it came to that issue, I wanted nothing to do with it. It had to be his own personal issue. He felt the same way I did about killing Mom. And I feel angry toward my relatives. Why didn't you do something when you knew what was going on and I didn't? And now when I found out, I did something about it. I did what I thought my mother would want me to do, which is please kill me. And I can't, and I just couldn't just kill my mom, and that would be ridiculous. I wanted to get rid of the source, but I couldn't live with that. Nobody could. And in a way, I'm happy that people say afterwards, there's no way that your mother could have lived without your dad. I'm glad. Even my mom's side of the family says, I'm glad that if your dad was going to be killed for business reasons, that they were both killed. Even knowing what I know, I'm She couldn't have lived. She wouldn't have wanted to live. She wouldn't think of it as I wish she would think of it as, I'm free, now I can take the money, go back to Princeton, I can recover and remarry, which is what I wanted for her. That, it was only after that ceased to be an answer, ceased to be a way out, that it was a dangerous situation where Eric and I realized at any point, sort of subconsciously, the go-ahead was given to kill us. Kill me before you leave. And basically leave our lives and go your separate ways.
Was she rushed to the hospital?
You mean after the car accident?
No, when she took, she took too many pills.
And when was this?
That's what you told me about.
New Jersey?
Yeah.
Back in New Jersey, yeah. Took a long pill or something, and went down to rushed to the hospital for some reason or another, but the New Jersey stuff, I didn't realize what was going on. I was in high school. I was dealing with my mom on a daily basis, and it wasn't as bad as when I was no longer around. She had something to occupy her time. All of a sudden she did. Eric wasn't around. So things got really, really worse. She didn't know about the affairs then, I don't think.
No, she didn't know about the affairs, I think, until she...
And it was bad enough that she was really having a hard time dealing with her marriage just because of what my dad was putting her through without even knowing that he was putting her through it for a completely devious reason. She was in bad enough shape, and everybody, my tennis coach, who was sort of a psychiatrist for me back then, Fred Warner, would say, Dad, I really feel for your mother. She opens up to me a lot, and she's just tormented by her father, and I would hate to have her life. Her life is terrible. And your dad is just a typical serious business executive, and he mentioned over and over that my dad could be having affairs, and I dismissed it entirely. I didn't think my dad was capable of that. And but getting back to what Eric was feeling that I wanted to say, it would be great if we were able to work on it, because even our relationship, because even the planning out of this, the reason it took such a short period of time to figure it out was, one, because it could have happened at any moment. All the thinking beforehand was done, really.
Yeah, I knew what you felt.
We knew what we felt, and we knew everything about that. Honestly, I never thought it would happen, even though I had thought about it. But it was done so quickly and so sort of callously almost, because one, if you thought about it too much, the feelings of not having your parents around and so on would get in the way of what was more important, which was helping your mother, really. And thinking about that and feeling toward her was so easy to separate yourself. I'd done it for too long into your own life and gone, I want to deal with my mother's agony. And it was sort of a cowardice way out. And for one moment before I went back to school, I had a chance, even though my life was going really well, and to show some courage, I felt, and help Eric and I, help my mother. I'm doing well, you're ready to go to UCLA, we're psyched about a lot of things, but we can't ignore the fact that my mother has to live with us. And it was that. Eric was that. I mean, I remember when we had to go down wherever to take care of an important issue concerning it, he said, I can't do it, I've got to practice because I have a tournament coming in. It was completely blocking that, and I was, I couldn't even tell him, but I was feeling, he doesn't realize the impact of what he's doing. He wants to take care of this problem and wish his life was the same and he still had normal parents that he can never have. He doesn't realize that what he's doing, there will be no more tournaments like that. There's going to be no more, all the little good things that are in a relationship, and I think one of the biggest pains he has is that you miss just having these people around. I miss not having my dog around, if I can make such a gross analogy. That, whether I hated the thing when it was around now, and I've given it away, now that it's gone, I miss all the things. That we had a boating trip right before the incident, and it had nothing to do with the main problem, which required a lot of courage. But I miss not having my father, and it's almost worse after I find out more and more about how he was such a genius and all the things he was able to do, and more and more about the agony of my mother, that instead of her being a shell, I realized she was really feeling a lot of emotion, that I wish I could have now confronted her and discussed things with her that I